Hi, my name is Jerry, and I am going to start a project of reinforcing my garage door. We are smack dab in the middle of hurricane season 2018, and even though I'm in Central Florida and we don't have any hurricanes coming, I want to make sure that I'm ready. For several years I've wondered if my garage doors would hold up to a hurricane. They have reinforcements on them as required by code, but is the track strong enough? Is there any kind of additional bracing that I can do to the door, the track, the frame to help? And that's what I'm going to do here. Now these are big doors, and as you can see there are additional bracing to the door that are put on again with compliance with the code. Well, in addition to those, I put more screws with nuts and bolts to hold these in place because all they had was screws, and over time they were falling out. So I also insulated this door. It's a hard insulation, and it was very difficult to get behind here to put some of the nuts and bolts on, but I got most of them all the way across from one end to the other. Now, what else could we do to this door? Well, it's at this point supported very well on the end, supported very well on that end. There's even a garage door opener kind of holding it shut in the middle. But this is a big span across here. So I am going to build two metal brackets that will go from the floor up and mount to the concrete up here, one on each side. So the span will be not as great with additional supporting to it. And in the little door, I will do one, same thing down the middle. These are bed frame rails. Got them for free. See them on the side of the road. Some of them I actually paid $5 for an entire set, like a king size. But they have more brackets that are attached. What I had to do is grind these little rivets off and pop the arms off and then grind them down. You can see this is smooth. But I want to put a piece of angle iron like this on the inside of this to make it longer. So in this case, this one would be okay with this tab still being there, because it's not in the way. And you can see that bottom tab there in the corner on this one, I ground that off already. So when I weld this in place, this will just extend that to the height that I want, and then I'll cut it off up there at the length that I want. Now, what kinds of things do I need in order to do this? Well, you can see these are old bed frames. They seem to work extremely well in that there's basically a T at the end. So that can attach to the concrete, and when it comes up, I will weld on a bracket that will go and attach to the concrete wall up there. So what kinds of tools did I need in order to do this? Well, those brackets were attached to the main beam, and I used a grinding wheel designed for cutting through steel, and I cut off rivets that held those pieces on. So now I have this one separated from those. That's one tool. Now, not everybody has this, but I have a MIG welder, and that's what I will use to weld those components together, which you will see later. This bar is a bracket that is used by electricians to support electrical conduit. It's C-shaped like this. I cut off a piece of this because that will be what will get mounted on the top of the garage to the wall like that. Well, how do you cut this piece of metal? Well, you can do it a couple of ways. You can do it with a hacksaw blade by hand. Might take you a while, but you can do that. This is a portable bandsaw. It's electric, and it lets me cut through that stuff almost like butter. This is that same grinder that I showed you, using this metal cutting blade, you could cut through that same piece of bracket. It will take a little bit longer. It will be a little bit harder to do, but it could get done. This will cut through that without too much of a problem. Now this is a grinder. This I have made so that it attaches into my vise, which I use to hold items. But after I cut these, they have sharp edges, so I grind off the edge and then I buff it with the wheel, and they're very smooth and will not cut me. And naturally the vise is used to hold things while I'm working on them. I'm not sure how well you can see this, and I'll get this up pretty close, but above the garage door there is a concrete header, and then above that there is block, because this is a cinder block house. Well, that solid concrete, I'm going to use tapcons to screw in there. Now what am I talking about? Let me show you. Home Depot carries this item as well as others just for installing hurricane shutters. Well, what are these? These are wide flange concrete screws, and that's what these are. Now what am I going to use these for? I will drill a pilot hole in that concrete. I will use these tapcons to fasten this fixture up there, and I put washers on it to make sure that it disperses its hold over a larger piece. And I plan on putting two of these screws in side by side, and down here 2 more screws. So this will have 4 up there. And the reason is because what I'm trying to make this do is, this is mounted up there. I am going to attach something to this, and the force that you're trying to resist is a force that would be pushing this way. So if I used other kinds of fasteners, they would not give me the strength for movement that's going in this direction, where the screws will hold better than anything else. In Home Depot, they sell what's called an 1.5-inch pipe clamp. They sell them in different sizes. This is the one I chose. And that's what this looks like. Now I'll take a hammer and I'll flatten this out. But the reason that I'm buying this, and I bought this in the electrical department right next to this, because they're designed to go together. This is designed to slide in here. And then this will get, this part, I will mount to the angle iron that will go from the metal piece that goes from the floor straight up, and then makes a right angle and goes to the to this bracket above the garage door. So this will just, when this is mounted, this will go over here, attached like this. It'll be fixed, goes all the way to the floor, and then at the floor I will install these things. These are also made for hurricanes. Excuse me, I got that upside down. It's called a sidewalk bolt, 1/4 inch by 1.5 inches. And they're very wide stainless steel bolts. And this will go into the concrete floor. Now how am I going to fasten those? This is also in the hurricane department, and they're lead anchors. And that's what I'm going to use to fasten these screws to the floor. These are lead anchors, and this is a tool they sell called the tap-in tool that allows me to set this anchor into the concrete. Now, when this is in the concrete, I'm not going to pull things out this way from the floor. They're going to go, my movement from a hurricane that I'm trying to protect is the movement with this in the floor like this, the bolt on top of it, and I'm trying to stop the metal from moving this way across the floor. So these may not have the greatest of pull-out strength, but they would have side shear strength very strong. And just for the record, the washers I'm using are 3/8 inch washers, and they will fit within this bracket. It's about the widest you can put in there. That won't, the 1/2 inch is the next size, and they won't fit in there very well. They're fairly sturdy washers, and the hole in the middle is small enough that this head on this tapcon will go over the top of it and hold it in place so it won't pull through. Now I need 3 of these. I already cut 2. I'm going to cut 1 more off of this so that you can see how this bandsaw works and that it can cut it very well. But again, as I already said, you can cut this by hand with a hacksaw. It would just take a little while. Now what I want to do is cut this in between these 2 holes before it goes to the next hole. So halfway would be here. Okay, and that would be like this size. And I use a speed square just to level this, so I have something to follow with the bandsaw. Just for the purpose of this video, I am only going to be wearing my reading glasses, not my safety glasses, but I should have safety glasses on. I wanted to be able to show you this very well. As you can see, this has some pretty sharp edges here that I want to take off. I'll be wearing this lens, eye protection, so I'm not sure how well you'll be able to hear me if I talk. These are the tapcons that I bought at Home Depot in the area where they sell hurricane supplies, but it doesn't say anything on it what size tapcon this is. Well, I happen to have a package of tapcons that are 1/4 inch, so I know this is a 1/4 inch tapcon. Now, why is it important? Well, you need the drill bit, the correct size drill bit, in order to make a pilot hole for this tapcon. And when you buy these, they come with it. Here's another drill bit. It's a concrete bit, and it makes the pilot for this. So now I know I have the right size pilot to put in these tapcons. Well, how do I know what settings to put my welder on? Well, you use a gauge, a measuring device like this. Both of those pieces of steel are the same thickness. They're just a little bit wider, but same thickness. In this one, it's 12 gauge steel. See, 13 is too small, 11 is too big. So both of these are 12 gauge steel. On the other side is 0.109 inches. All right, here's the chart on the machine to give me a starting point. This is 14 gauge. It doesn't go up to 12, then it starts going into inches. That's 1/8 of an inch. The next one up. And this is 12. You can see the thickness of the 14 gauge. This 12 is thicker than the 14 gauge, but less thick than the 1/8 gauge or size. So the table shows me for flux core welding, which means no gas, I'm between 14 gauge and 1/8 inch. So it's maximum 1 setting on both. This is a spool speed of 4. This one is spool speed of 6. Since I'm in between, I'm going to start out at 5. So that's max 1, spool speed of 5. And that's what I'm going to start with. We'll see how it goes. So how do I decide where I want to put these brackets? Well, I want them spaced 1/3, a third in the middle, another bracket, and a third over there. So I'm going to have 3 panels with 2 brackets, 16-foot door. So I took my tape measure and measured from the end of the door over to 64 inches, and you can see I have a mark up here. And here is my mark I made on the door, 64 inches to the edge. I used my speed square, use this to level it and get me a line up to here, and then from here I took my speed square, leveled it here, made a line up to here. Now I know this bracket has to go with the whole line in the middle, and I'll be where I want to be. So I'm going to put 4 screws in here with washers, tapcons, going into this one-piece solid concrete header. And I'll do the same thing over there when I put the other bracket in. And when this is fastened, how will this work? There'll be a metal beam coming all the way up to here, then makes a right-hand turn 90 degrees. This will be welded on the front. So this will go like that and attach. And then the only thing left to do would be secure the bottom with those screws that I already showed you. And as you can see, these are where these screws will go, and I marked them here so I can pull this bracket down and drill these holes, the pilot holes. Now the drill I'm going to use has a hammer drill function here. Just turn this, and when it drills, it also hammers at the same time. You don't have to have this feature, but when you're drilling into concrete, it does work well. I have a 5/16 socket on a power driver. This is not welded on in place yet, but this is at the right height to stand across here, and then I'll weld it in place. This is the bracket I'm trying to get to attach to this. See the little ears on it? Grabs hold of it. I'll pull it tight. Let it sit there. So I already got it marked off. I'm going to cut it right here. That'll give me a little bit of play to let this stick out, because I'm going to weld this on top of this. So this will get welded to here, that'll get welded to there. And then this should stand by itself straight on down. Okay. The length of the bracket is here. This is welded on the end. correct length here and correct angle. Want to hit it in about the middle where I am. Straight down. Okay, I'm going to weld it right there. Okay, this part is all welded on. Let me show you. Hook. Put the base all the way up. And this is solid at this point. Now, I have to permanently mount those feet to bolts that will go into the floor and come back out, and that's how I put it in and take it out. Then you just lift it, take it off. Okay, all three of the bars are in place. They still need to be screwed in at the base. That's the next step. Here's the one on the left on the large door, the one on the right on the door on the right, and this is the single door. Okay, I put a magnetic level on this. As you can see, it's very level. So that's where the foot will go. This is all the way up against the hurricane bars already on the door, so it's flat up against the door. Take a permanent marker, and I'm going to go around that slot. Oh. Now, on the other side, the design of this metal won't let me put two screws on this side, only one here. This one should allow me to do two, and I'll do one right about here, and one right about here, and this one right about here. So this side, the smaller bar, will only have 3 screws into the floor, just like the left-hand sided one will have on the big door. Let me show you what these fasteners are. These are standard screws, that stainless steel that you'd see on the side of a house that has hurricane shutters on it. They come in 2 different size heads. This one is called a sidewalk bolt, 1/4 inch by 1.5 inches. Now the other ones are smaller. I like the bigger ones, so that's what I got. Now what's going to hold this into the concrete are these things. They're called lead anchors. And you need a tool, which they also sell, which was only a couple bucks, that taps onto this lead, drives the lead down into this and expands this so it holds onto the concrete. Now it's threaded down the middle, so this size thread goes through. Now this is much longer, so I'm going to make enough room for this to be in the concrete farther, where this is only going to be in like up to there. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm first going to drill it with a concrete drill that's this size, and I've marked it with tape to tell me when to stop. So this will go all the way down in, and then I have to use a larger concrete bolt or concrete drill bit, 1/2 inch, and it's going to go down that far, and you can see I have tape around here to tell me when to stop drilling.
And I use a, just so I can clean it off and see my surface, and make this go faster.
Now I want to make sure I'm all the way in, so I'm going to drop one of these, and it seats at the bottom, so I know I made that hole deep enough. Then this will go in here. But I want to get all the shavings out of there as best I can.
dirt in that hole. Okay, they both go down deep enough.
Yep, that's deep enough. And you take the tool, and this will go right down.
No. Not quite deep enough. Okay, those are both done. Let me set them into the concrete. Okay, that's how they'll work. Now, I'm going to, even though these are stainless, I'm going to put a layer of never sees in here and on each of these bolts.
I don't know if you've ever used this, and undoubtedly I'll get it on my hands, and it will be there for days. Very difficult to get off. That's alright. It just, basically I think it's just ground up copper. I'm sure there's other things in there too, but here are the fasteners in the concrete. These are the two for the big door. In this case, the design of the metal only allowed me to put 3 on the foot. Pretty much done. This hooks into here. This goes like that. I take those bolts, I put them through, and we're ready for a hurricane. There's 2 more things I got to do to these bars though. One more tip. This is called a paint pen. I bought them on eBay. This one you can see is yellow on the end. That means that the paint is yellow. They come in white, they come in numerous colors. They're great for marking things, especially on metal. So you need to know, since these are built specifically for the location, in other words, this bar really wouldn't fit well over there and that bar wouldn't fit well over here. Well, you need to know which ones are which when you're setting up for a hurricane. As you can see, I already wrote on here, this is a small door, and after I paint this, I'll mark them in some way so that I know this one goes here, that one goes there, and the other one over there goes where it belongs. This product is called insulation tape. I got it at Home Depot for a different purpose, but I believe they use it in sealing ductwork, I believe, and things like that for air conditioning systems. It's a foam insulation, almost like neoprene, but it's sticky on the back. Just peel this off, it's all sticky. So what am I going to do with this? I need to paint these bars. We're just going to paint them, I don't know what color, whatever paint I got. And then wherever they touch these hurricane bars, here, 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 I'm going to put a small patch of that insulation foam tape here, 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 all the way on each of the bars, just to keep the door from rattling against them. And it would take up a little bit of the space here to make this even snugger against the door. Painting them is just paint. So this project pretty much is done. I will then take these and I have a place to store them, which you might consider. Between the two doors is this span right across here. I'm going to get some hooks, find the trusses, screw them in, and I will basically be hanging them this way across the ceiling, completely out of the way. I don't use that space for anything. It won't be blocking my garage. Great place to store them. That's what I plan on doing. So I hope you learned something from my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Over here in the left, my left, your right in the corner. Subscribe to my videos. There's a bell you can push. It'll give you notice when I put out a new video. I do different kinds of subject matters. Thanks for coming. Have a nice day.